Tonight, we embark on a journey into the extraordinary life of a man who approached the laws of physics as if they were mere suggestions. He lived as if sleep were a negotiable concept. This man is none other than Leonardo da Vinci. Before we dive deeper, take a moment to like this video and subscribe, only if you truly enjoy what I share here. I'd love to hear from you in the comments about where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. It's always captivating to see our global audience connect. Now, let's dim the lights. Perhaps you might want to turn on a fan for that gentle background hum. Together, let's ease into tonight's exploration. Before we marvel at Leonardo da Vinci's remarkable inventions, we must first understand the man behind them. Leonardo was far from ordinary. While most people sleep, forget things, and occasionally stare at walls, he managed to do all three simultaneously, while also inventing a more efficient way to gaze at those walls. Born in 1452 in the quaint Tuscan town of Vinci, Leonardo entered the world as an illegitimate child. In the Renaissance, this meant he wouldn't inherit property, but it also came with its own set of challenges. Remarkably, he compensated for this by cultivating a mind that seemed to be directly connected to the universe's limitless potential. While other children engage in playful games, you find yourself captivated by swirling water currents and the intricate workings of mechanical toys. By the age of 10, your curiosity drives you to measure bird wings and ponder profound questions like, why doesn't the human shoulder rotate this way? In the Renaissance era, parents lacked the resources to guide such inquisitiveness. With little formal education and no Latin grammar drills or Greek philosophy classes, many would have felt constrained. Yet for you, this absence of structure becomes liberating. You explore the world by probing it with your imagination, seeking to unveil its mysteries. You learn anatomy by studying the human body under the cover of night, a practice that might raise eyebrows today. You grasp the principles of physics by observing the fall of objects from great heights, and your engineering skills emerge as you design devices that challenge conventional safety norms, all captured in your sketches. Your notebooks, filled with thousands of pages, resemble the diary of someone driven by an insatiable curiosity. Within their depths, you discover diagrams of flying machines, detailed dissections of eyes, studies of fluid dynamics, concepts for war machines, botanical illustrations, and even a grocery list written in mirror script. In your world, being normal feels like a distant memory as you embrace the extraordinary. Imagine stepping into the chaotic world of Leonardo da Vinci. Patrons would hire him to create beautiful paintings, but Leonardo had a different agenda. He would eventually get to the canvas, but not before inventing two musical instruments, redesigning the sewage system of their city, and taking a 5-month detour to explore the mechanics of laughter. For him, finishing paintings was optional, but learning everything was absolutely essential. You see, you cannot separate Leonardo's inventions from his delightful madness. He was not merely improving the world, he was challenging it, daring it to a duel. Every phenomenon, every object, every law of nature became an opponent to outthink, outsketch, or even quietly insult through his engineering. This is how every one of Leonardo's inventions begins, with a man who gazed at existence and thought, I can fix this. Among his many obsessions, none were as ambitious, majestic, or perilously thrilling as his dream of human flight. Birds seemed to mock him, not out of malice, but simply by going about their business in the sky. Yet, Leonardo took this personally. He observed their effortless gliding and with unwavering sincerity declared, yes, I too shall do this. Armed with medieval materials and powered solely by his own strength, he envisioned the ornithopter, a flying machine relying on the pilot's arms, legs, back, hope, and every muscle group humans never meant to use, all at once. As you reflect on Leonardo's relentless spirit, consider what drives your own passions. What challenges do you feel called to confront? Imagine a time when the skies were filled with dreams of flight. Picture massive, intricately designed wings, inspired by bats and eagles, crafted by a visionary who often sidestepped deadlines. To use this contraption, you would strap yourself into a wooden frame, resembling a Renaissance-era torture device. With ropes, levers, and perhaps a touch of blind optimism, you would flap your wings, striving for the skies. Who did Leonardo envision as the pilot of this daring invention? Perhaps someone with the strength of Hercules or thighs powerful enough to crush marble. In reality, this meant that very few, if any, could have taken flight in 1490. Yet, the brilliance behind this chaotic vision is unmistakable. Leonardo grasped concepts like lift, drag, and aerodynamic flow centuries before humankind truly began to understand them. In his time, the sky belonged to angry gods, but Leonardo's notes were not the ramblings of a madman. They were the foundations of aeronautical engineering. He keenly observed how birds angled their wings, how the wind danced, and how turbulence swirled. He meticulously translated these observations into diagrams so precise that even modern scientists pause in admiration, only to add that attempting this would likely lead to disaster. The greatest flaw in Leonardo's design wasn't his calculations, it was the limitations of the human body. On our worst days, we struggle to lift grocery bags, let alone attempt to soar into the heavens while tethered to a precarious wooden structure. So, what does this tell us about ambition and the quest for flight? Perhaps it invites you to reflect on the limits we face and the dreams we dare to pursue. Leonardo da Vinci underestimated two significant factors: the relentless pull of gravity and the average Florentine's physical stamina. While no one ever truly soared with his wings, unless you count a brief, unfortunate descent, his vision was nothing short of revolutionary. The ornithopter wasn't merely a failed invention, it was a glimpse into the future. Though he didn't create the first successful aircraft, he laid down the very blueprint that made the idea of flight conceivable. Genius often involves trial and error. It stumbles, crashes, and burns, paving the way for others to eventually soar. Leonardo had a daring concept. If humanity was destined to plummet from great heights, and let's be honest, it often was, why not do so with flair and a reduced risk of injury? Thus, he devised the world's first known parachute, a pyramidal structure crafted from tightly woven linen, stretched over a wooden frame. Imagine a tent. Now picture someone willingly leaping off a tower while wearing that tent. That's Leonardo's parachute. In his notes, he boldly declared, "A man with this device shall throw himself down from any great height without injury." It's a poetic way of saying, I haven't tested this, but I'm pretty sure it'll work. The design itself is quite remarkable. Imagine 4 long wooden poles meeting at the top, with linen stretched like a giant funnel above a platform waiting below. In theory, this design works well. In practice, it demands a brave soul, willing to scale a towering structure at a time when many would faint just from standing too quickly. But here's the fascinating part. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't entirely misguided. His parachute concept should have functioned effectively. In fact, modern engineers who recreated it demonstrated just that. In 2000, a skydiver named Adrian Nicholas constructed a replica using materials from the Renaissance era and successfully jumped with it, landing safely. He described the landing as surprisingly smooth, a sentiment Leonardo would have cherished 500 years earlier. Yet, we must acknowledge the remarkable audacity it takes to design a device aimed at breaking one's fall from a deadly height, especially before the term terminal velocity even existed. People of the Renaissance were hesitant to trust ladders, while Leonardo boldly proposed that individuals leap from towers with a linen contraption strapped to their backs. One thing Leonardo grasped better than most, however, was the concept of air resistance. His notes reveal that he understood how drag slows descent long before the principles were documented in physics textbooks. Isn't it intriguing how his insights anticipated scientific understanding by centuries? Imagine a time when flight was merely a dream, yet one visionary dared to sketch the possibilities. Leonardo da Vinci crafted experiments with falling objects, keen to observe how an air cushion could behave. Remarkably, he did this without the aid of calculators, wind tunnels, or even the basic safety instincts most of us take for granted. His parachute was more than just a device, it was a bold statement. What goes up must come down, but perhaps not right away. He envisioned a world where people could escape from burning towers or collapsing bridges. Was it practical for his time? Certainly not. Was it genius? Absolutely. Just hope you weren't the one volunteering to test it. Then, just when you think Leonardo's fascination with flight couldn't become more audacious, he conceived something even more extraordinary: the aerial screw, the world's first conceptual helicopter. Picture a massive screw, crafted from linen and wooden ribs, spiraling like a cone. Visualize 4 Renaissance men standing around it, gripping poles and spinning it with enough force to lift a platform into the air. If this sounds like a reckless idea, that's because it truly was. The aerial screw is brilliant in theory. Leonardo grasped the principles of lift before the science of lift was even established. He understood that a rapidly rotating spiral structure could push air downward, thereby lifting the machine upward. What do you think about his vision? It's fascinating to consider how one man's imagination could pave the way for future innovations. Imagine the world of Renaissance Italy, a time bursting with creativity yet limited by technology. Helicopters, as we understand them today, depend on engines, a concept foreign to that era. In fact, the people of 15th century Florence struggled with even the most basic of comforts, like reliable socks. Leonardo da Vinci, however, envisioned something extraordinary. He proposed a flying machine powered by human strength, which is quite amusing when you consider that the average Florentine had the physical prowess of a baguette. These were individuals who often found themselves winded after a simple uphill walk. Yet Leonardo believed they could generate enough power to spin a 500-pound corkscrew, fast enough to defy gravity. The mathematics simply didn't add up. The physics were, well, flawed. And the materials available, linen and pinwood, are hardly known for their strength in aerospace applications. But here's where Leonardo's brilliance shines through. He grasped the fundamental principle of vertical flight. He had the vision, even if he lacked the horsepower to make it a reality. His sketches of the aerial screw are filled with intricate details about load distribution, spiral geometry, and the transfer of force through rotational torque. He explored airflow compression, all without the aid of calculators, textbooks, or safety regulations. It's a fascinating blend of raw intellect and sheer delusion. Interestingly, modern engineers who attempted to reconstruct his design echoed this sentiment. They found that while it might not work with human power alone, the concept is indeed brilliant. If you substitute humans with a small engine and use aerospace-grade materials, Leonardo's idea transforms from folly into a stroke of genius. So, what does this tell us about innovation? Perhaps it's a reminder that great ideas often arise from a mix of imagination and limitation. Would you like to explore more about the wonders of creativity? The concept of execution can be quite brutal, yet there's a certain audacity that demands admiration. Leonardo da Vinci wasn't interested in simple gliders or wings. He aimed higher. He wanted to capture the essence of the sky itself. His vision was a vertical machine hovering above the earth like a divine mechanical dragonfly. While it never took flight, it certainly sparked intrigue, lifting more than just eyebrows. This bold idea endured, eventually giving rise to helicopters, not through mere trial and error, but born from the imagination of a man who refused to let gravity dictate his limits. Leonardo also believed that if humanity couldn't conquer the skies just yet, perhaps they could master the depths of the water. He turned his gaze downward and invented one of the earliest diving suits. This was during a time when most people feared the ocean, viewed fish with suspicion, and believed that anything lurking underwater was either a demon or a tax-evading mermaid. However, Leonardo saw a unique opportunity. His diving suit was an ambitious and peculiar creation. Picture a leather bodysuit, crafted with the precision of Renaissance artistry, durable yet a bit unsettling. The face mask featured two glass eye windows, which likely fogged up instantly, making it nearly impossible for the diver to see anything clearly. Imagine a world where breathing underwater is possible, facilitated by long tubes connecting to a floating air bell at the surface. It may sound delicate, but one strong wave could change everything. In an instant, you shift your focus from the enemy ship to a far more profound reality. This suit isn't meant for leisurely snorkeling. It's crafted for stealthy naval sabotage. Picture divers gliding beneath enemy vessels, creating holes in the hull and disappearing unnoticed as the ship gradually fills with water. It's like a Renaissance version of special operations, marked by a higher risk of drowning and minimal training. Yet, in true Leonardo fashion, he considers every detail, even including a small pouch on the front of the suit for tools or perhaps a few snacks. Leonardo even notes how a diver, feeling threatened, might conceal themselves on the sea floor, relying on a reserve of air to wait for the danger to pass. This perspective is daring, especially in an era when many thought of the ocean as a haunted abyss. What makes this diving suit so captivating is its remarkable plausibility. Leonardo grasped the principles of air supply, pressure, and underwater mobility long before scuba tanks or regulators came into play. The challenge wasn't his intellect, it was the world around him. Would you dare to explore the depths with such an invention? Imagine a time when technology was still in its infancy. Leather, glass, and cloth tubes were the materials of choice, but they were far from ideal for long underwater missions. Most divers could only endure about 10 minutes before the ocean claimed them, yet Leonardo da Vinci remained undeterred. His goal was not practicality, it was the exploration of possibility. His diving suit symbolized more than just an invention. It was a bold statement that even the vast, intimidating sea was merely another challenge to conquer. If there was one thing Leonardo couldn't resist, it was the urge to innovate in the realm of warfare. When a patron requested a painting, he would respond with a blueprint for a battlefield marvel. A request for a sculpture often led to suggestions for a rotating cannon platform capable of obliterating an entire village. Among his many ideas, the armored tank stood out, a creation so advanced that it left 15th century onlookers in disbelief, as if it had just delivered an insult. Picture this colossal metal tortoise advancing across the battlefield, adorned with curved plates of armor and lined with cannons in a perfect circle. Inside this war machine, soldiers worked tirelessly, cranking gears to propel the massive structure forward. This image alone reveals the audacity of Leonardo's imagination. Imagine a time when the Renaissance diet, rich in bread and cheese, hardly prepared anyone for the challenges of operating a formidable, cardio-powered tank. The strength needed to maneuver such a machine was far beyond what a typical diet could provide, especially with the added complications of the era, like the occasional outbreak of plague. Leonardo da Vinci's design for this tank was nothing short of brilliant, yet undeniably eccentric. His concept featured sloped armor, capable of deflecting arrows, stones, and perhaps even scornful remarks. The interior layout was ingeniously crafted to shield the crew from enemy fire, while allowing them to unleash their own attacks from any direction they chose. It was, in essence, a medieval device designed for chaos, a machine that could ruin anyone's day on the battlefield. Anyone facing this armored behemoth would likely reconsider their life choices, their alliances, and perhaps even their very undergarments. Yet, this is where Leonardo's genius veers into the realm of suspicion. The gear system he meticulously sketched was in fact inverted. If you were to construct the tank according to his drawings, it would not move forward, it wouldn't even rotate. Instead, it would remain stationary, much like a disgruntled armored biscuit. Historians have long debated whether this was a genuine oversight or a clever act of sabotage. Leonardo himself expressed moral objections to warfare, despite having designed an array of weapons capable of instigating conflict. Some theorists suggest that he intentionally flipped the gears, ensuring that no warlord could effectively wield his creation without first correcting the plans. If this was indeed his intention, it stands as one of the most passive-aggressive forms of protest against war in the annals of engineering history. So, as you reflect on this fascinating intersection of creativity and conflict, consider how art and invention can sometimes carry deeper meanings, challenging the very foundations of their purpose. Would you have the courage to blend artistry with activism in such a bold manner? Even when the challenges of engineering were addressed, no medieval blacksmith could have crafted enough lightweight and durable metal to create these colossal cannons that demanded gunpowder. Armor needed meticulous craftsmanship, and wheels had to be sturdy enough to withstand the weight. The Renaissance simply lacked the industrial capacity to realize such a formidable creation. Yet, the concept itself was strikingly vivid. Leonardo da Vinci didn't build the first functioning tank, but he envisioned it with such precision that future engineers could only respond with a resounding, "Yes, let's make this happen." 4 centuries later, his armored vehicle wasn't designed for warfare. Instead, it served as a glimpse into the future, a cautionary tale, and a testament to Leonardo's extraordinary foresight, always several centuries ahead, guiding humanity like a bewildered child. At one point in his career, Leonardo gazed at a standard-sized crossbow and mused, "What if this could lay waste to an entire town?" This notion gave rise to one of his most dramatic inventions, the giant crossbow, sometimes referred to as a ballista on steroids. This creation was approximately the size of a small cottage, which is somewhat fitting considering its capability to obliterate several cottages in a single shot. It stretched an impressive 40 feet wide, with limbs so enormous that it took a full squad of soldiers just to draw the string back. Imagine the bow arms crafted from laminated wood, reinforced with the strength of a battering ram. Picture a central firing track, long enough to launch bolts as massive as telephone poles. Leonardo da Vinci envisioned this creation hurling stones, flaming barrels, or oversized bolts at enemy formations, all while maintaining a flair that suggests he cared deeply about the aesthetics of warfare. Can you see it? Two armies poised against each other, a tense silence hanging in the air. Suddenly, one side unveils a crossbow so grand it could be a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Morale surges on one side, while the other side's spirits deflate and retreat. Yet, like many of Leonardo's inventions, this brilliance battled practicality, and practicality emerged victorious. Imagine the sheer amount of wood needed, more than most forests could graciously offer. Consider the carpenters who might faint at the thought of such an undertaking. Transporting this behemoth to the battlefield, that would require a team of oxmen, several wagons, and perhaps a touch of divine intervention. Even if you somehow managed to assemble it, the loading process would consume so much time that your enemies could stroll around, take a nap, and return feeling refreshed. And let's not forget about the firing mechanism. Leonardo envisions a complex system of tension and release. However, using materials from the Renaissance era means hoping the string doesn't snap, potentially causing harm. Yet, the concept of a giant crossbow encapsulates Leonardo's essence: brilliant, intimidating, and chaotic in design. He believed warfare should not only be effective, but also visually striking. If annihilating your enemies was the goal, why not do it with the Renaissance's version of a powerful siege weapon? Although no historical evidence confirms that such a machine was ever constructed, its existence in Leonardo's notebooks highlights a significant truth. He had no understanding of limits. For him, war machines transcended mere functionality. They were bold statements, loud, outrageous, and frightening. Long before the term rapid fire came into play, Leonardo observed battlefield muskets and found them unbearably slow. Tired of watching soldiers fire once, reload for what felt like an eternity, and then fall before completing the process, he innovated a new device. This invention, the 33-barreled organ, marked him as the Renaissance's most dangerous efficiency expert. It was less a weapon and more a physical manifestation of his frustration. Imagine a time when one musket seems powerful. Now picture 33 of them fused into a single, fearsome device. This is the vision Leonardo has, a terrifying creation resembling a pipe organ with rows of barrels arranged in a fan shape, ready to unleash a barrage of fire. The idea is straightforward. Instead of one soldier taking aim and firing, multiple soldiers would position this monstrous weapon and deliver a volley so intense that it would shake the resolve of any enemy on the battlefield. After each discharge, the barrels could rotate backward, allowing a fresh set to take their place. Reloading turns into a chaotic conveyor belt of destruction. It's a brilliant concept, yet terrifying, akin to juggling flaming torches in a gunpowder factory. The true challenge, however, lies not in Leonardo's imagination, but in the laws of physics, metallurgy, and the unfortunate reality of 15th century weaponry, which often had a tendency to explode in the user's face. Consider the musket's limitations of the time, often struggling not to burst from a single shot. Now, imagine the chaos of firing 33 at once. The only certainty in this scenario, someone is definitely going to lose their eyebrows. And let's not forget the sheer weight of this machine. It's so heavy that a small team of soldiers is needed just to drag it into battle. As they position their equipment, the enemy could have already changed locations, taken a break for lunch, and returned home. Yet, the core idea was surprisingly forward-thinking. Leonardo da Vinci realized that true dominance on the battlefield wasn't about reloading faster, it was about maintaining a constant stream of fire. He envisioned the concept of continuous fire, long before anyone else did. His sketches reveal intricate details about airflow around barrels to prevent overheating, the distribution of recoil, and firing patterns designed to clear infantry lines, much like sweeping crumbs off a table. Although this innovation wasn't realized during his lifetime, largely due to the lack of courage and safety measures in the Renaissance, the thought process he laid out paved the way for what we now recognize as machine warfare. Leonardo didn't merely accelerate combat, he redefined it, volley by unstable volley. In an era where everything relied on horses, from transportation to agriculture and social status, Leonardo quietly rebelled against the entire equine industry from his workshop. Why depend on a creature that had its own moods, opinions, and the occasional unpredictable kick? Instead, he envisioned a self-propelled cart, the first conceptual automobile, powered solely by springs and a touch of Renaissance optimism. Imagine a cart that appears harmless, a simple wooden platform on 3 wheels, with gears neatly tucked away beneath. Yet within this unassuming exterior lies Leonardo's ingenious creation. This cart is powered by a system of coiled springs, which, when wound, release enough energy to propel it forward, all on its own. No horses, no drivers, just pure Da Vinci innovation in motion. Historians suggest this device was initially designed for theatrical productions, meant to glide across stages, carrying props or actors who were perhaps too important or too lazy to make the journey on foot. But knowing Leonardo, it's likely he had a grander vision. He aimed to demonstrate that humans could master motion without relying on animals. If modern cars symbolize independence, this cart represents a 15th century version of that same spirit, a wooden shopping cart that darts forward the moment your attention wanes. Now let's delve into the steering. Leonardo's cart features differential gears, a concept so advanced that Renaissance engineers would have gazed at it in bewilderment, much like we do with complicated tax documents today. This innovation allowed the wheels to turn at different speeds while navigating a curve. It was revolutionary genius, albeit entirely unnecessary for a wooden vehicle resembling a simple breadboard. As you reflect on this remarkable piece of history, consider the leap in thinking it represents. Leonardo's vision continues to inspire, reminding us of the power of creativity and innovation. Why not continue exploring the wonders of invention? Imagine a world where the impossible becomes reality. Modern researchers have crafted a functioning replica of Leonardo da Vinci's visionary cart, and it truly works. It moves, it turns, and it behaves like a toddler on roller skates, unpredictable yet undeniably alive. Observing it glide across a room sparks a mix of inspiration and unease, reminiscent of witnessing the dawn of a technology that could one day lead to traffic jams and road rage. Leonardo's cart, while not fast, practical, or particularly safe, had a singular purpose to demonstrate that movement could exist without animal power. In this endeavor, he inadvertently laid the groundwork for the fundamental principle behind every automobile created since. The Renaissance era wasn't prepared for such innovation. The roads were unfit, and the horses, they were definitely not ready. But the future had already begun to roll forward. At some point during his illustrious career, Leonardo realized that humanity lacked a certain flair. Paintings? Fine. Flying machines? Interesting. But what was truly needed, it seemed, was a robotic knight, a fully mechanical warrior designed to instill fear in enemies, impress the nobility, and perhaps even ignite a Renaissance version of a robot uprising. This was no mere sketch or half-formed idea. He constructed this robotic knight in the late 1490s, setting the stage for a future filled with possibilities. In Milan, you discover a remarkable creation, a humanoid machine crafted from gears, pulleys, and metal plates. This mechanical soldier possesses the ability to sit, stand, raise its arms, and move its jaw, an impressive feat when you consider that many actual knights required the assistance of 3 squires and perhaps a chiropractor to achieve such movements. Leonardo's design draws inspiration from his anatomical studies. He meticulously dissected bodies to grasp the intricacies of muscles and tendons, then translated those movements into mechanical counterparts. Where a bicep would typically reside, he engineered a system of cables, and in place of joints, he installed precisely crafted gears. Each component of this robot mirrored the human form, devoid of complaints, sweat, or vulnerability to disease. Historians suggest that Leonardo designed this robot partly to entertain the Duke of Milan's court. Picture this scene, a lavish banquet filled with nobles sipping wine and musicians strumming lutes. Suddenly, a metal knight ascends from the floor as if auditioning for a Renaissance talent show. Can you imagine the gasps, the applause, or perhaps even the fainting spells that might have ensued? In an era where comets were seen as divine omens, the emergence of a mechanical man likely left at least one monk questioning his beliefs. What a captivating blend of art, science, and spectacle this truly represents. Wouldn't you agree? Imagine a time when creativity and innovation intertwined, a time when a remarkable figure named Leonardo da Vinci challenged the boundaries of possibility. His creation, a robot, was far more than just a novelty. It symbolized his profound understanding of human movement, showcasing insights into mechanics that predated modern robotics and biomechanics. Leonardo wasn't merely imitating muscles, he was crafting the very essence of movement itself. His notebooks reveal concepts that seem astonishingly contemporary: feedback systems, joint articulation, and intricate gear assemblies. This was not the product of a whimsical imagination. It represented the dawn of automation. While the Duke never deployed this robot in actual combat, recognizing its value and fragility, the significance endures. Leonardo designed the first humanoid robot, a walking, talking knight driven by gears, centuries before the advent of electricity. Leonardo's dreams stretched beyond machines. He envisioned mechanical life itself, a notion that invites reflection. After enduring the ravages of plague, ineffective leadership, and the chaotic designs of medieval cities, he reached a striking conclusion. Humanity, he believed, should not be entrusted with the design of its own living spaces. People were inherently chaotic. Streets often resembled filthy canals. Sanitation was merely a suggestion, and every medieval city reeked of garlic, sewage, and anxiety. In the face of such disillusionment, Leonardo did what he always did. He sought to transform reality. Would you like to delve deeper into his visionary thoughts? Imagine a city meticulously crafted from the ground up, a vision so revolutionary that it was far ahead of its time. This is the world Leonardo da Vinci dreamed of, a blueprint of urban design that the Renaissance could hardly comprehend. He envisioned clean streets and efficient transportation systems, complete with advanced drainage and spacious plazas. Leonardo imagined cities with layers, one for pedestrians, another for carts, and yet another for waste and water. In essence, he introduced the modern idea of zoning long before anyone considered the wisdom of keeping dead animals away from bakeries. At the core of his vision was a profound belief in beauty through function. Buildings were designed with symmetry, and ventilation was purposeful. Natural light streamed into homes without the need for residents to wrestle with old, moldy curtains. He proposed innovative canals, engineered to redirect water and prevent flooding, effectively putting an end to the seasonal spectacle of watching belongings drift away. His vision included wide streets, an idea almost unheard of in medieval Europe, where roads were often just wide enough for a donkey and riddled with hazards. Leonardo sought broad avenues to promote airflow, sunlight, and ease of movement, almost as if he had foreseen the day when people would become anxious about being stuck in traffic for more than 3 minutes. As you reflect on Leonardo's extraordinary foresight, consider how his ideas continue to resonate today. What might our cities look like if we embraced his vision? Imagine a world where the ideal city, crafted by the visionary Leonardo da Vinci, could have come to life. Yet, there were significant challenges to overcome. Firstly, his vision demanded intelligent leadership, which was a tall order for Renaissance rulers. They preferred the allure of shiny statues and elaborate frescoes over the practicalities of infrastructure improvements. Secondly, funding was a major hurdle. During this era, money was typically funneled into wars, extravagant weddings, and lavish banquets, leaving little for innovative urban development. Thirdly, Leonardo's designs were so advanced that they resembled something out of science fiction, akin to asking a medieval baker to create a Tesla. As a result, his ideal city remained just that, a dream, confined to the pages of history, far ahead of its time. When modern urban planners encounter Leonardo's blueprints, they experience a blend of admiration and existential reflection. His concepts, grid systems, sewage management, walkable streets, and vertical planning address challenges we are still striving to solve today. Remarkably, he envisioned these solutions long before door hinges were even standardized. The true tragedy lies not in the fact that no one built Leonardo's ideal city, but rather in the realization that we still have not achieved it. Leonardo had an extraordinary ability to observe the world around him, transforming ordinary elements like rivers into sources of frustration. Medieval armies frequently found themselves hindered by water crossings, showcasing the need for his innovative approach. As you reflect on this, consider how far we have come and how much further we still need to go. Wouldn't it be fascinating to explore the possibilities of bringing Leonardo's vision to life? Nothing frustrates you more than inefficiency, right? Imagine a world where movement is swift, unexpected, and strategic. This is what Leonardo da Vinci envisioned with his revolutionary invention, the revolving bridge. Designed for armies that needed to advance quickly, this portable and collapsible marvel was meant to outsmart any adversary. Picture an elegant structure, lightweight and crafted from wood, featuring a clever hinge and pivot system. A squad of soldiers could easily carry it, much like a giant ladder. They could drop it across a river, march over it in perfect formation, and pull it back before the enemy even realized what had occurred. It was a logistical dream come true, fast, mobile, and a bit cheeky to any enemy trying to keep up. But this bridge was more than just a sturdy plank. It boasted counterweights to stabilize the span, locking mechanisms to secure it, and a rotating base that allowed for deployment at various angles. In essence, it was the Renaissance's version of a tactical illusion, a now you see us, now you don't. Armies equipped with this ingenious design could appear where they weren't expected and vanish just as quickly, leaving generals scratching their heads in confusion. Isn't it fascinating how one invention can change the course of strategy and warfare? Leonardo's innovative spirit not only challenged the norms of his time, but also pushed the boundaries of what was possible. So, what other marvels might await discovery? The brilliance of Leonardo's revolving bridge reveals a significant theme in his life. He was inventing for an audience that wasn't quite ready to grasp his innovations. Picture the average 15th century soldier, already struggling to manage basic tasks like keeping hold of their pike. Now, imagine asking them to transport a precision-engineered folding bridge without damaging it or themselves. It's uncertain if Leonardo ever tested this with actual soldiers, but the chances of them assembling it correctly on their first attempt were about as likely as a chicken reading Latin. Despite this, the revolving bridge was remarkably ahead of its time. Modern militaries now utilize deployable bridges based on the very principles he envisioned: portability, speed, and the urgency to cross before the enemy realizes what's happening. Leonardo didn't just introduce a new tool, he presented an entirely new philosophy of movement. However, like many of his inventions, the revolving bridge found itself caught between a brilliant concept and the reality that few knew how to bring it to life. His patrons sought flashy weapons, not practical solutions that demanded both intellect and craftsmanship. Yet, the bridge stands as one of Leonardo's purest creations. Imagine a world where ideas flow freely, where thoughts can be shared and spread like never before. This was the reality of the Renaissance, a time buzzing with creativity and innovation. But amidst this excitement, one man, Leonardo da Vinci, stood apart. When he first encountered the printing press, he noticed something that many others overlooked. While most scholars celebrated this invention as a monumental leap for knowledge and communication, Leonardo saw potential for improvement. To him, the printing press was not merely a machine for producing books. It was a prototype in need of refinement. He recognized the limitations of the printing process, particularly the tedious task of hand-setting type. Moving those tiny metal letters around was not just boring, it was painfully slow and inefficient. Having observed scribes laboriously copying manuscripts, he was all too aware of the inefficiencies that plagued this method. So Leonardo began to envision a better way. He sketched intricate mechanisms, gears, rotating platforms, and automated type frames, all designed to streamline the process of printing. His ideas were revolutionary, but there was a catch. The printers of the Renaissance were simply not ready for such bold innovations. As you reflect on this, consider how often we encounter situations where we see possibilities that others miss. What might you discover if you allowed yourself to think like Leonardo? Imagine a time when many people barely grasped the machines they already owned. Then, enter Leonardo, proposing a system that would need a small army of engineers, a reliable power source that simply didn't exist, and the patience of a saint. It was akin to handing medieval bakers a recipe for a chocolate souffle and expecting them to succeed effortlessly. Yet, Leonardo pressed on. He envisioned a rotational system where prearranged type blocks could be swapped in and out with remarkable speed, enabling printers to transition seamlessly between page layouts with mechanical precision. His goal was to enhance efficiency and streamline workflows. Although he never stated it outright, he aimed for nothing less than the complete eradication of slow printing. Had Renaissance publishers embraced Leonardo's innovations, Europe might have stepped into the information age 2 centuries ahead of time. But they didn't. Printers glanced at his exquisitely designed gears, weighed their own capabilities, and collectively opted for safety, thinking, "No thank you, we prefer not to explode." And just like that, his vision faded. Leonardo turned his attention to other pursuits: anatomy, flight, hydraulics, while the printing press continued its steady, unaltered rhythm. Yet the irony is striking. Leonardo's concepts hinted at automation, rapid typesetting, industrial presses, and even the machinery we see in modern newspapers today. Imagine a mind that not only envisions improvements, but also foresees entire industries. This was Leonardo da Vinci, driven by the belief that books and knowledge deserved better. Leonardo, true to his nature, could not let things be. Long before the advent of modern medicine, before surgical gloves or antibiotics, and long before doctors relied on anything other than random herbs and prayers, he ventured into the realm of anatomy. With a confidence that seemed to dismiss fear of disease, he instead feared ignorance. While many physicians clung to dusty texts from centuries past, Leonardo took a different path. He dissected bodies, unveiling truths for himself, much like a Renaissance detective working under the cover of night, adding an air of mystery to his discoveries. His anatomical studies were not mere sketches, they were intricate blueprints of the human body. He didn't just illustrate appearances, he explored function. To him, muscles were not mere shapes but intricate pulleys, and joints transformed from simple bones into complex hinges. The heart, often romanticized, became a hydraulic pump in his eyes. Leonardo approached the human body as an engineer would, dismantling what he deemed the most complicated machine ever created. You can almost imagine him whispering, "But why was it designed this way?" What made Leonardo truly remarkable was not just his insatiable curiosity. You stand at the crossroads of art and science, where a mind like Leonardo da Vinci's thrived. His drawings of the spine, shoulder joints, and facial muscles possess a precision that still captivates modern surgeons. Imagine a time when many believed that nightmares stemmed from humor imbalances, or that demons were the source of toothaches. Leonardo's diagrams were not just ahead of their time, they were revolutionary. He even uncovered the workings of heart valves, a revelation that Western medicine did not officially recognize until the 20th century, simply because no one else thought to investigate. But perhaps the most astonishing aspect of his work lies in his mechanical models, often referred to as his anatomy machines. Picture intricate systems of gears, levers, and cranks designed to imitate the movement of limbs, the expansion of lungs, and the circulation of blood. These were not mere toys, they were early prototypes of biomechanics and robotics, conceived in an era when the understanding of the human body was still shrouded in mystery. At that time, many believed the body was filled with vapors, or perhaps even a squirrel. Leonardo wasn't merely observing nature, he was reverse engineering it. Yet his passion for discovery clashed with the norms of his time. The church frowned upon the dissection of corpses, and dissecting them with enthusiasm was a risky endeavor. But Leonardo, driven by his fascination, continued to pursue his studies, undeterred by the constraints of society. His anatomy machines were not crafted to impress patrons or warlords. They were born from a deep curiosity and an unyielding desire to understand the world around him. Imagine a mind crafted to explore the very essence of existence. Leonardo da Vinci, a man without a medical degree, might have understood the human body better than any doctor of his time. When he passed away in 1519, he didn't leave behind a simple legacy. Instead, he gifted the world a 13,000-page puzzle for every historian, scientist, and engineer who would follow in his footsteps. Most people leave behind clothes, furniture, or perhaps a mysterious box tucked away under the bed. But Leonardo's legacy was far grander. Weapon designs, flight experiments, intricate anatomical diagrams, urban planning concepts, blueprints, robotic studies, and optics research. His notebooks are a testament to a mind that seemed to have absorbed the universe's secrets, yet he had only 67 years to document them. It's clear he needed at least 3 lifetimes to capture all his thoughts. He hardly completed a handful of paintings, as he was often preoccupied with decoding river structures, redesigning musical instruments, enhancing military strategies, and casually reinventing the field of biology. If procrastination were an Olympic event, he would have claimed the gold medal, engraved it beautifully, and then misplaced it. Yet, his most profound invention wasn't the flying machine, the tank, the robotic knight, or even the underwater sabotage suit. It was something deeper, something that continues to inspire curiosity and reflection in all of us. As we ponder his legacy, what might we learn from his relentless pursuit of knowledge? Leonardo's greatest achievement lies in his methodology. He envisioned the world as a machine, complex, beautiful, and flawed. Anyone with curiosity could take it apart and create something better. While Renaissance artists focused on saints, Leonardo explored the inner workings of reality itself. What sets him apart is not just that he was ahead of his time, he was far ahead of multiple eras. His studies of anatomy predicted medical advancements that would not emerge for 3 centuries. His ideas about mechanics hinted at the rise of industrial automation. His sketches of flying machines anticipated the principles of aerodynamics. Even his city designs resemble modern urban planning more than anything seen in 15th century Europe. Though Leonardo lived in 1500, it feels as if he visited the year 2500 and returned with treasures from a distant future. Yet his life concluded quietly, without the fanfare one might expect. There were no grand accolades, no global headlines, and certainly no awards for Renaissance genius. Instead, he was just a man alone in a room, surrounded by notebooks filled with thoughts that few could comprehend at the time. His mind was so expansive that the world needed centuries to catch up. Perhaps that's the essence of his legacy. Leonardo was not inventing for his own era. He was leaving a trail of breadcrumbs for the future. His signals, clues, and blueprints were meant for humanity, a humanity not yet ready to wield them responsibly. Leonardo da Vinci doesn't just create machines, he embodies possibility. This possibility is timeless. It lingers, flourishes, and ultimately re-emerges, much like Leonardo himself. Imagine stepping into a medieval tournament, even if just for a fleeting moment. The first sensation you encounter won't be the clash of swords or the cheers of the crowd. Instead, it will be a riot of color, an explosion of silk, velvet, gold leaf, feathers, and extravagant embroidery. The heraldic creatures adorning the fabric appear so vivid they seem ready to leap into the fray. Before a single lance is broken, the arena transforms into a vibrant stage of fashion, and everyone is aware of it. Tournaments serve not only as military contests, they are meticulously crafted displays of status. Knights don't enter the lists solely to showcase their strength. They make an entrance to declare their identity. Every article of clothing, every painted shield, and every plume dancing atop a helmet conveys a message. They speak of wealth, lineage, loyalty, and personality. Sometimes they even whisper, "Yes, I am more lavish than you, Gregory. Just accept it." A knight's surcoat functions like a bespoke luxury suit, combined with a billboard, declaring allegiance and heritage. The bright azure fabric signifies a noble lineage connected to the sea, radiating prestige and pride. Imagine a lineage marked by a fiery temper, their banners unfurling in bold red. Gold threads weave through their attire, a stark reminder to the peasants that they will never reach such heights of wealth. Knights, too, indulge in this display, adorning their armor with tiny bells and metallic studs. not for protection, but to create a dramatic jingle as they stride into battle. Picture the scene, the clash of metal, the echo of footsteps, and the anticipation of all who await their arrival. But it's not just the knights who capture attention. Their horses are true celebrities in their own right. Dressed in full body coverings, these majestic animals flaunt embroidered vines and roaring lions. Some are so lavishly adorned that they seem to transform into moving tapestries, eliciting gasps from the crowd. Whispers ripple through the onlookers. Who rides that magnificent steed? Which house do they belong to? How many skilled hands labored to create such a spectacle? Even their weapons sparkle with glamour. Shields shine with painted beasts and intricate geometric patterns, while helmets boast plumes and crests that could make any medieval artist pause in confusion. Tournaments, while undoubtedly perilous, serve as a vibrant contest of creativity, a medieval fashion week where the stakes are high and the runway could very well break your ribs. So as you envision this world, consider the artistry behind the armor and the stories woven into each embellishment. What tales do these adornments tell? In this world, reputation does not start with a victory. It begins the moment you step into the sunlight and allow the colors to express who you are. Before every clash and every charge, the first battle is fought with fabric, feathers, and pride. If there is one garment that symbolizes the medieval tournament, it is the surcoat, a long, flowing piece of cloth, often extravagantly expensive, draped over a knight's armor. To call it mere clothing feels almost inadequate. This garment is a statement, a declaration, and at times a cry for attention, so bold it could rival the sound of trumpeters. The surcoat serves two main purposes. First, it protects the knight from the sun, preventing the metal armor from becoming a medieval oven. Second, it showcases the knight's status, and this aspect of display becomes its defining characteristic. Imagine a knight entering the lists, his surcoat trailing behind him like a royal comet. Rich blues dyed with exotic pigments, deep crimsons derived from thousands of crushed insects, and gold thread woven into intricate patterns that only a noble's purse could afford. This is more than just fashion. It is politics woven into fabric. A knight's surcoat reveals everything about him before he even raises his visor. It speaks of his family, his alliances, his rivalries, and just how much attention he desires on that particular day. Every house boasts its own heraldic colors, and knights wear them with pride. If your family's emblem features a boar, you showcase boar motifs. If it's a lion, well, you might easily blend in with half the nobility. Yet, some families opt for more imaginative heraldry. Geese, snails, and hedgehogs find their way into elaborate designs, embroidered in stunning detail. Can you imagine the impact of a knight charging forward, adorned with a giant golden goose flapping across his chest? The materials used are anything but subtle. Velvet, silk, and brocade, fabrics that seem ill-suited for a man wielding a lance. Some surcoats are so heavily embellished, they flutter like miniature tents in the breeze. Others are tailored shorter to avoid snagging in armor joints, creating a unique silhouette that straddles the line between a fierce warrior and a runway model caught mid-twirl. Even more entertaining are the knights who treat their surcoats as a form of moral armor. Religious knights often embellish theirs with images of saints, holy symbols, or entire verses from the Bible, as if a beautifully stitched angel on their chest could somehow persuade an opponent's lance to veer off course. However, the real spectacle lies in the reactions of the spectators. A knight donning a plain or poorly crafted surcoat might find himself the target of whispered insults, while another knight, adorned in a magnificent ensemble, draws admiration and envy. Imagine a world where your prospects for marriage suddenly double. In this realm, the surcoat is more than just a piece of outerwear. It serves as a form of medieval social currency. In an era where one misstep could send you tumbling into the mud, looking magnificent before your fall becomes a victory in itself. The surcoat is merely the outfit, but heraldry, that's the true personality. As you step into a medieval tournament, you're greeted by a dazzling array of symbols. Lions, eagles, suns, moons, crosses, and unicorns flood your vision, each representing the eternal glory of noble families. Heraldry is like a blend of branding and astrology, reflecting identity, reputation, and perhaps a fondness for birds passed down through generations. Each knight enters the lists behind a massive banner designed to be seen from afar. These banners are bright, bold, and unapologetically dramatic, capturing the chaotic essence of medieval tournaments. With dust swirling and noise echoing all around, the solution is clear: make the symbols enormous. Heraldry resembles a medieval graphic designer shouting, "This is Gerald of Gloucester. Don't mix him up with his cousin from Gloucester, who has 2 lions instead of 1. Symbolism holds great significance. Lions represent courage, even if a knight might faint at the sound of a horse sneezing too loudly. In this vivid tapestry of medieval life, every detail matters. So, let yourself be drawn into this world where every symbol tells a story and every knight stands proud beneath their banner. Would you like to explore more about this fascinating era? Bears symbolize strength, but some families choose them simply because they find them appealing. Eagles represent nobility, while dragons are favored by those who enjoy instilling fear without any real threat. And then there are the snails. Yes, entire noble families proudly displayed banners featuring these unlikely heroes. Historians remain puzzled by this curious choice. Colors also carry significant meaning. Blue signifies loyalty, red embodies a warrior spirit, and gold often implies generosity, or perhaps just an abundance of wealth to spend on gold-dyed fabric. Black can represent wisdom, grief, or simply a savvy tailor's sale. Each combination of symbols and colors tells a story, crafted to impress onlookers, inspire allies, and intimidate rivals. Heraldic shields are painted with the same care as sacred manuscripts. Some designs are so intricate they resemble portable stained glass windows strapped to a knight's arm, while others are refreshingly simple: one animal, one background color, and a clear message. This straightforward design says, "I am here to deliver a powerful blow, not to confuse anyone with unnecessary details." Heraldry isn't limited to knights. Even horses don heraldic cloth, transforming entire teams into coordinated fashion statements. This rich tapestry of symbols and colors creates a vivid narrative that speaks volumes about identity and purpose. Imagine a noble family, adorned in matching attire, banners waving, and horses prancing, resembling a medieval boy band on tour. They present a dramatic and unified front, fully committed to their aesthetic. In tournaments where armored knights clash, heraldry serves as the lifeline that prevents visual chaos. It embodies identity, pride, and legacy, a bold statement in the medieval world. If the attire represents the outfit, then heraldry signifies identity, while the shield acts as a personalized billboard designed to deflect spears and look stunning while doing so. Unlike the grim, battered shields often seen in battle reenactments, tournament shields are masterpieces, art pieces that boost ego and sometimes deliver subtle threats disguised as decoration. When a knight rides forth to salute the stands, his shield is the first thing the crowd truly sees up close. Angled toward the nobles, it serves as a glamorous greeting card, carrying immense significance. A beautifully painted shield transcends mere decoration. It becomes a public relations campaign. Conversely, a mud-splattered chipped shield signifies social death. Most shields are kite or heater shapes, providing ample surface area for artistic expression. They offer a canvas for creativity, making each tournament a spectacle of visual storytelling. Artisans skillfully layered pigments, metal leaf, lacquer, and varnish until the shield radiated like a sacred relic. Lions roared across the wood grain, while eagles spread their wings in defiance. Dragons coiled dramatically, as if poised to leap out and engage in a fierce debate. Among these designs, more eccentric motifs emerged: hands gripping swords, flowers with eyes, and geometric spirals that sparked quiet speculation about whether the artist had indulged in the monastery's wine. But shields were not merely painted, they were thoughtfully curated. Some knights commissioned exclusive designs for specific tournaments, perhaps to settle a feud with another house. It was time to adorn the shield with a bold, unmistakable emblem to provoke rivals, hoping to impress a noblewoman watching from the pavilions. Subtle hints of her family colors might be added along the edge, aiming to appear more virtuous than the knight beside you. Perhaps the entire shield would be covered in the radiant face of a saint, a clever attempt to mask the fact that you missed Mass that week. The condition of the shield also told a story. A pristine shield conveyed confidence, suggesting, "I don't expect this to be struck." A gently worn shield implied experience, saying, "I have faced challenges you cannot fathom." And a heavily dented shield? That spoke volumes of battles fought and survived. You might wonder if I am either incredibly brave or perhaps a bit reckless. Maybe I am both. In tournaments, the imperfections of armor often receive a fresh polish or a coat of paint. After all, no one wants to leave the arena looking as if they've lost a battle with a castle door. Ultimately, a knight's shield serves more than just a protective purpose. It represents personal identity wrapped around sturdy wood. It's designed to be seen, admired, and even feared. While a lance might secure victory in the match, a striking shield captures the crowd's attention. If there's one emblem of splendid yet impractical extravagance in medieval tournaments, it's the helmet crest. These towering, ornate decorations that knights affixed to their helmets were a bold statement, even knowing that a strong gust of wind could send them tumbling. These crests blended fashion, pride, symbolism, and a touch of questionable engineering into a unique spectacle. The concept was straightforward. The taller, brighter, and more outrageous your crest, the more attention you would draw. Knights would stride into the lists adorned with dragons, wings, bulls, boars, towers, suns, flowers, and sometimes shapes that even the scribes of the time struggled to identify. If your crest didn't evoke at least one squire to whisper, "Is that safe?" then you clearly weren't pushing the limits hard enough. Imagine a world where knights elaborate crests, each one a unique expression of identity and flair. Some of these crests are crafted from lightweight wood, while others are shaped from boiled leather. A few adventurous souls even opt for real metal, boldly proclaiming, "I value aesthetics over comfort," as they bolt a steel dragon to their heads. These creations burst with color, adorned with gold leaf, and decorated with feathers that seem to have been plucked from mythical birds. Some even feature tiny gemstones that catch the light. Picture a knight charging into battle, his helmet crowned with a jewel-encrusted unicorn horn. Rather than looking absurd, he appears undeniably fashionable. Crests serve not only as decoration, but also as identity markers. A family renowned for its bravery might choose a roaring lion head, while those celebrated for naval victories might wear a carved ship. An amusing choice for the horse, one might think. Some knights even select crests that reflect their personal quirks. One chronicler recounts a knight who entered a tournament with a frying pan attached to his helmet, a playful inside joke. Another knight sported a cabbage-shaped crest, perhaps symbolizing humility or a light-hearted hunger. The true spectacle, however, occurs when these decorative masterpieces meet the wind resistance of a galloping horse. Crests wobble, flop, and twist sideways, sometimes even launching themselves into the crowd like medieval frisbees. Can you envision the laughter and surprise that must have erupted? Imagine a knight standing tall, his helmet adorned with a crest that reflects not just skill, but also an element of luck. When a crest survives the tumult of battle, it draws admiration. It signifies balance and a touch of fate. Meanwhile, squires dart about, chasing after runaway feathers, much like medieval seagulls in a frenzy. These crests, though delicate, carry immense importance. They represent prestige, boldness, and a flair for the dramatic. A knight without a crest appears incomplete, while one sporting a magnificent crest seems legendary. And if that crest catches fire from a nearby torch, at least the tale of the mishap lives on. In tournaments filled with spectacle, the helmet crest stands as the crown of chaos, worn with pride. If crests are the architectural marvels of these events, then the plumes are the fireworks, dramatic, colorful, and utterly extravagant. Medieval plumes don't just hint at elegance, they shout it from across the field. A knight bedecked in a towering spray of feathers resembles less a fierce warrior and more a proud peacock, whimsically taking up jousting. Feathers were sourced from every remarkable bird that medieval Europe could acquire: swans, ostriches, peacocks, and cranes. The larger and rarer the bird, the greater the respect you commanded. So as you envision this vibrant scene, consider the stories these knights and their extravagant adornments tell. Imagine knights adorned with feathers. The elegance of goose feathers is one thing, but dyed ostrich plumes, large enough to resemble brooms, signify true status. Some knights even went so far as to import exotic feathers from the Middle East, ensuring their wealth and worldly sophistication were apparent to all, right before they inevitably found themselves unseated from their horses. These plumes weren't randomly affixed to helmets, they followed specific trends and seasonal preferences. For instance, 2 plumes angled backward suggested swiftness, while a single long plume standing upright conveyed confidence or optimism. A cascade of 3 plumes. That sent a clear message. My tailor assured me this style flatters my face. Intricate gradient-dyed plumes declared, I'm here to win the beauty contest, disguised as a jousting match. Yet, plumes had a vulnerability: the laws of physics. Anyone who has worn a large hat on a windy day can relate. At full gallop, those elegant plumes didn't remain poised. They flapped, snapped, twisted, and sometimes flew off entirely. Imagine chroniclers capturing the moment when a plume detaches mid-charge, soaring into the audience like a startled bird. Picture a medieval merchant enjoying roasted almonds, suddenly struck in the face by a knight's vibrant red ostrich feather. Despite their whimsical nature, plumes served a practical purpose. They helped spectators distinguish knights from a distance, adding a layer of spectacle to the jousting arena. Imagine a scene where armored knights clash in a chaotic melee, their movements resembling the chaotic clatter of cookware. You might hear someone shout, "Look for the one with the giant green plume." But this clever identification system falters when half the plumes fall off, get muddied, or mysteriously swap owners in the fray. The plumes themselves carry deep symbolic meanings. A white plume represents purity and virtue, even if the knight beneath it is far from virtuous. Scarlet plumes signify courage or a yearning for attention. Meanwhile, black plumes evoke somberness and drama, suggesting that a knight might be trying to reinvent himself after a previous defeat. In the end, these plumes transform each knight into a moving masterpiece. Are they a bit ridiculous? Certainly, yet they make tournaments an unforgettable spectacle, brimming with flamboyance and theatrical flair, exactly what medieval nobles envisioned. If you think knights were overdressed, just wait until you see their horses. In these tournaments, even the steeds are adorned to reflect nobility. A horse is not merely a mode of transportation, it's a fashion statement, a symbol of status, and a living canvas showcasing heraldry and wealth. Many horses enter the lists dressed in such extravagant outfits that even today's top fashion designers would envy their splendor. Imagine a vivid scene where a long flowing cloth drapes over a horse, almost touching the ground. These magnificent adornments transform the horses into living tapestries, crafted from luxurious materials like velvet, silk, or brocade. Yet, the horses themselves remain indifferent to such extravagance. Each piece is embroidered, painted, and embellished to the point where the poor creature seems more like a participant in a royal pageant than a warrior bracing for the chaos of battle. This isn't just decoration, it's a bold statement. The comparison becomes a visual spectacle, showcasing power and prestige. If your sir displayed your colors and your shield bore your symbol, this grand display announced your presence to the world. Some horses are adorned with massive roaring lions or intricate patterns that could rival the size of dinner plates. Others flaunt dizzying geometric designs, leaving spectators seeing double as the horse gallops past. And because the medieval nobility embraced the dramatic, they included tiny bells stitched along the edges of these garments. With each step, the knight and his horse jingle majestically, ensuring that if you weren't heard before you were seen, you definitely weren't wealthy enough. However, amidst this spectacle, one must consider the practicalities. Horses run hot, and wrapping them in layers of embroidered fabric seems quite frankly absurd. Nobles remain determined. Chroniclers recount horses, drenched in sweat, straining against their lavish attire, while knights boast about the number of seamstresses who crafted their garments. The horses, naturally, stay silent. After all, voicing discontent isn't an option for them. There is a tactical aspect to this ostentation, too. Such elaborate outfits can mask a horse's muscles and movements, potentially confusing opponents during a melee. Yet, let's be honest, the tactical advantage is minimal, perhaps just 2%. The other 98%? That's pure vanity. Consider the details: matching plumes, tassels, and decorative headpieces known as camfrons. These embellishments transform the horse into a noble creature, as if summoned from an illuminated manuscript. When a fully adorned knight rides a fully dressed horse, it creates a spectacle so magnificent that the crowd doesn't merely cheer, they gasp in awe. In the medieval tournament arena, appearance reigns supreme. Arriving on a plain horse draws unflattering attention, for in a realm defined by silk, color, and glory, your horse is an extension of your legend. It deserves to shine just as brightly as you do. Before knights charge down the lists, lances lowered, they ensure they are dressed for the occasion, and dressed is indeed the right word. Tournament armor differs significantly from the battered practical iron typically worn in actual battles. This jousting armor represents luxury, crafted with the same seriousness that medieval nobles used in negotiating marriages, feuds, and dubious religious relics. It has evolved into an art form of its own. Knights donned reinforced breastplates, thick pauldrons, and specialized grandards, large plates affixed to the left shoulder designed to absorb the impact when another knight's lance aimed to turn your ribs into medieval confetti. However, this armor serves more than just protection. It embodies prestige. Each curve of steel is polished until it gleams in the sunlight like a mirror. Picture dozens of knights shimmering in the morning sun, so bright that spectators must squint as if gazing upon sacred relics. Then there are the decorative elements, because plain armor simply won't suffice. Skilled engravers carve swirling vines, leaping stags, snarling lions, and intricate knotwork across the plates. Gold and silver inlays trace family crests, religious motifs, or abstract designs that boldly declare, yes, I am wealthy enough to pay an artisan 10 days' wages to adorn my elbow. Some pieces even feature etched prayers, hoping for divine intervention on tournament day. As you visualize this opulent display, consider what it signifies about status and valor in a time when honor was often fought for on the field. Every piece of armor exudes a unique flair. The vampresses on the forearms often feature intricate ridges and scalloped edges, while gauntlets shine with embossed symbols. Greaves and sabatons, which protect the legs and feet, sometimes have pointed toes that are both stylish and perilous, leaving modern historians puzzled over how knights manage to avoid toppling like armored ducks. Yet, the true centerpiece of this ensemble is the helm. Tournament helms are thicker, rounder, and heavier, offering about as much breathability as an iron oven. Knights peer through narrow slits, which provide visibility akin to wearing a mailbox on your head. However, these helms also serve as canvases for artistry, adorned with gilded trim, painted visors, embossed crowns, and the whimsical addition of crests and plumes. Despite all this decorative bravado, tournament armor possesses a surprisingly practical feature. It prevents death. Tournaments are inherently dangerous. Lances splinter, shields shatter, horses collide, and knights occasionally forget to turn left instead of right. A well-crafted suit of armor can save a life while allowing its wearer to look magnificent, even in the face of peril. In the realm of medieval tournaments, armor transcends mere protection. It embodies elegance, identity, ego, and the artistry of craftsmanship, all forged into steel. Imagine a vibrant medieval tournament where style and survival intertwine. This event is not just a test of strength or skill. It serves as a grand spectacle, a festival where clothing, armor, fabrics, feathers, horses, banners, and egos come together in a dazzling display of aristocratic flair. If the Middle Ages hosted award shows, this would be the Oscars, the Met Gala, and a demolition derby all rolled into one. Before the jousts even begin, crowds gather, not merely to witness combat, but to indulge in a fashion parade. Nobles recline in pavilions beneath embroidered canopies, their eyes squinting with judgmental enthusiasm. Ladies of high birth whisper among themselves, critiquing which knight has updated his heraldic colors, or whose coat looks suspiciously less expensive this year. They notice who has clearly found a new tailor, as some knights strut with silhouettes that appear remarkably improved. Medieval gossip is unrelenting. While the nobles engage in their chatter, commoners cheer wildly for anything that glimmers. A knight can ride past, sunlight glinting off his polished breastplate, and the peasants will erupt in applause as if witnessing a miracle. They may not concern themselves with whether the crest holds deep significance or historical meaning. What captivates them is its sheer size and the hint of danger it evokes. As you envision this lively scene, consider the layers of social dynamics and the vibrant atmosphere that define these tournaments. Would you like to delve deeper into this fascinating world? Music fills the air, creating an electrifying atmosphere. Trumpeters announce each entrance, transforming the arena into a vibrant catwalk, accompanied by a lively brass soundtrack. Heralds dramatically introduce the knights, and you can almost hear the excitement as they proclaim, "Behold Sir Edmund of Ronner," a figure whose bravery is rivaled only by the size of his extravagant plume. Banners flutter in the breeze, comparisons are made, and the sound of jingling bells surrounds you. Every sense is engaged in this spectacular display. This is no coincidence. Tournaments are crafted for maximum impact. Lords use these events to impress allies, intimidate rivals, and flaunt their wealth. Knights, too, seize the opportunity to showcase themselves. A magnificent outfit can earn a noblewoman's admiration, a lord's respect, or at the very least, spark envy among fellow knights clad in less breathable armor. The thrill of danger adds to the allure. An expertly executed joust is exhilarating, but so is a dramatic collision. You can imagine the crowds gasping, ladies clutching their veils in suspense, and if there were medieval announcers, they would replay those moments in slow motion. Splintered lances soar through the air, resembling glitter tossed by an overly enthusiastic party planner. When the victor emerges, plume intact and armor gleaming, he achieves more than just winning a tournament. He captures the imagination of all who witness his triumph. You find yourself transported to a time of medieval splendor, where one man earns a moment of immortality. His fashion, armor, and colors become legendary, remembered, and admired. In the realm of medieval tournaments, glory is not just a matter of skill, it's something you wear. For most of the year, Rome is a place of order and hierarchy. Each person knows their role. Masters command, slaves obey, senators lecture, and everyone strives to appear more serious than those around them. But then, every December, something extraordinary unfolds. The rigid structure of the empire comes to a screeching halt, takes a deep breath, and dives into joyful anarchy. This is Saturnalia, a time when Rome casts aside its civilized facade. The festival kicks off on the 17th of December, but the anticipation begins long before. As soon as the first decorations appear, green wreaths, pine boughs, and little figurines of Saturn, people sense the impending transformation. The rules begin to melt away like butter under the warm Mediterranean sun. Courts close, work vanishes, and responsibilities dissolve. Even the gods, it is said, loosen their belts to join in the revelry. And what chaos it is! Saturnalia becomes more than just a holiday. It is a celebration of freedom and joy. Would you join in this delightful anarchy? Imagine a moment when the rigid structure of Roman society dissolves before your eyes. For a brief time, the lines that typically separate masters from slaves blur, creating a vibrant tapestry of unexpected interactions. Enslaved individuals share tables with their masters. Children playfully mock their fathers. In a surprising twist, masters serve meals to those they usually command. And for the first time, the enslaved speak their minds, sometimes with shocking candor, much to the astonishment and amusement of everyone present. The streets of Rome transform into a lively spectacle. People drown bright caps, known as plevin, symbols of freedom typically reserved for the liberated. This alone is enough to set the scene, but when you add in the laughter, the singing, and a carefree spirit that sweeps through the city, it feels like an ancient festival that stretches on for days. The air is filled with a symphony of sounds, dice rattling on stone tables, musicians playing lively tunes in alleyways, and neighbors exchanging cheerful greetings from their balconies, wine-filled amphorae in hand. Strangers share gifts, wax figurines, candles, and pastries shaped in delightfully unexpected forms. Even gambling, usually frowned upon, becomes a common sight, as during the festival of Saturnalia, all rules seem to dissolve. Yet, beyond the revelry, the most striking change is the atmosphere itself. The usual weight of Roman life, the political strife, social hierarchies, and economic pressures vanishes like smoke in the wind. Genuine, unrestrained laughter flows through the streets like a warm breeze. For one glorious week, Rome lets go. It forgets hierarchy, seriousness, and even itself. In the heart of this joyful disorder, Saturn reigns, not with authority, but with celebration. If one tradition defines Saturnalia, it is the role reversal that sends conservative Romans into a moral panic. For this brief moment, the entire hierarchy of Rome flips upside down, much like a poorly managed chariot. Masters become servants, and servants become masters, and everyone pretends this is perfectly normal, even if it feels mildly terrifying for the elite. As Saturnalia begins, households across Rome engage in a symbolic act. The collars of slaves are removed. Enslaved men and women exchange their usual work clothes for brighter garments, often borrowing their master's discarded finery. Tunics dyed in brilliant colors, cloaks with luxurious edging, and sandals so exquisite they would never be permitted the rest of the year make an appearance. And of course everyone, both slaves and free citizens, wears the pileos, the soft conical cap of freedom. For 1 week, the entire empire dons hats that proclaim, "Today, nobody is the boss." But the inversion doesn't stop at clothing. In private homes, the master does not simply take a seat at the table, he serves it. This involves pouring wine with the careful touch of someone who fears spilling it. It means distributing food and observing as the usually silent and obedient slaves recline on couches like emperors, critiquing the meal and sharing jokes that remain unspoken for the rest of the year. During Saturnalia, slaves can mock their masters without fear of retribution. Some keep it light-hearted, while others unleash their creativity. Romans have noted how enslaved people would deliver entire comedic monologues about their owners' flaws, be it their stinginess, infidelities, or famously poor singing. The masters, in turn, are compelled to laugh, or at least feign amusement. The streets mirror this reversal. A poor man might be crowned Satinius Princeps, the king of Saturnalia, given the authority to issue silly commands for a day. Sing, dance, drink, bring me more food. The true king of Saturnalia is not a figure of power. He thrives on chaos. His reign is less about authority and more about mischief. To outsiders, this may appear as anarchy masked as a festive occasion. However, Romans believe this ritual chaos serves to renew the social order. Imagine a world where the lower ranks can openly mock the higher ones, where the pressure within society can finally escape. For 1 week, Rome embraces a sense of equality. It's chaotic, loud, and a bit undignified, yet surprisingly healing. While daily Roman meals are typically orderly and governed by strict social etiquette, the meals during this festival are a complete departure, chaotic, overflowing, and indulgently extravagant. Feasting is not merely an event, it serves as the very essence of the festival. For 7 days, Rome essentially declares war on moderation. The atmosphere shifts dramatically in the kitchens, where cooks, often enslaved and overworked, suddenly become the stars of the show. Cauldrons bubble, ovens roar, and pantries are ransacked as if the city is bracing for a siege. But this time, the goal is not survival, it's about overindulgence. Even the simplest households gather whatever they can to create at least one grand feast. Meanwhile, the wealthier families go all out, showcasing their culinary prowess. Tables bend under the weight of dishes that resemble edible works of art, and picture roasted piglets glazed with honey, sausages braided into garlands, and chickpea stews so generously seasoned with herbs that they glow a vibrant green. There are fried pastries dusted in powdered sugar, dates stuffed with almonds, and enormous platters overflowing with figs, pears, and pomegranates. As you envision this extravagant celebration, consider how it reflects a deeper connection among people, a momentary escape from the rigid structures of society. Wouldn't you like to join in this feast of life? Imagine a scene where the wine flows freely and the atmosphere is charged with excitement. In this setting, restraint is left at the door. Here the celebration is vibrant. Oversized cups are filled, and the idea of mixing wine with water, often seen as a mark of good manners, is looked down upon. Instead, toasting becomes a spontaneous ritual. Cheers are raised to Saturn, to friends, to the city, and even to nothing at all. The laughter is infectious. Someone sneezes, and it's an excuse for another toast. A cup drops, and once again, glasses clink in response. But what truly sets this gathering apart is the seating arrangement. In this elite household, a surprising twist unfolds. Slaves, who are usually prohibited from reclining at the table, are invited to join the feast as equals. Interfading to usually prohibited from reclining at the table, are invited to join the feast as equals. They lounge on plush couches, savoring the finest dishes while their masters serve them. This reversal of roles is not merely symbolic, it carries deeper meaning. It humbles the hosts and adds an element of unpredictability to the festivities. Masters navigate the room with trays in hand, striving to avoid spilling sauces or dropping food in their guests' laps. Meanwhile, the slaves, fueled by tradition and wine, take on a bold new role. They critique the offerings with theatrical flair. "This is a bit too salty," one might declare. "It could use more pepper," another chimes in, while the master nods in agreement, humbled like a student eager to learn from his teacher. As you reflect on this scene, consider the power dynamics at play and how the spirit of the feast transforms relationships, if only for a night. Would you like to continue exploring this intriguing world? Imagine the streets coming alive with a feast. Vendors are frying honey cakes, while musicians fill the air with the sounds of flutes and drums. Crowds are dancing, their fingers slick with grease, as the city envelops you in the rich aromas of roasted meat and warm bread. Rome transforms into a grand dining hall where no one is concerned with calories, coins, or consequences. For 1 week, gluttony is celebrated not as a vice, but as a civic duty, and the people embrace it wholeheartedly. Yet, amidst the revelry, there exists a softer, sweeter tradition known as gift-giving. Rome approaches this custom with the same fervor it applies to feasting, filled with enthusiasm, creativity, and a distinct lack of moderation. If you think holiday shopping today can get chaotic, picture it without malls, credit cards, or price tags, but with thousands of Romans shouting in bustling marketplaces after indulging in too much wine. The most common gifts during Saturnalia are simple yet meaningful. Candles, representing light in the darkest time of the year, come in all shapes and sizes, from tiny wax tapers to grand torches that resemble small trees wrapped in beeswax. Additionally, people exchange sigillaria, small clay or wax figurines shaped like gods, animals, and children. Occasionally, you might even see a few that make Roman parents shift uncomfortably, pretending not to notice as friends, neighbors, lovers, and even the enslaved partake in this delightful exchange of miniature gifts. As you reflect on these vibrant traditions, consider how they connect us to the past. Wouldn't it be fascinating to explore how such customs continue to influence our celebrations today? Imagine a world where gifts carry layers of meaning. Some are humorous, while others resonate with deeper symbolism. Picture a wax lion embodying strength. Visualize a clay dove representing peace. Then there's that tiny figurine, shaped like your friend's beloved pet, a thoughtful gesture. How about a playful nod to your friend's bald spot? This captures the spirit of Saturnalia, light-hearted teasing without repercussions. But not all gifts are modest. Wealthy Romans seized the opportunity to showcase their affluence during Saturnalia. They presented lavish silver cups, intricately embroidered garments, exotic fruits, and exquisite perfume bottles. Some even offered writing tablets and chests filled with rare spices. In a twist of generosity, a few gifted slaves temporary bonuses, allowing them to indulge in gambling or drinks. This fleeting moment blended generosity with a hint of recklessness. Yet, the true delight lay in the novelty of gifts. Romans had a penchant for the peculiar. One writer recounts the bewilderment of receiving a set of miniature bronze cows for no apparent reason. Another mentions a friend who gifted a single shoe, teasing that the other would arrive the following Saturday. Prank gifts thrived in this culture. Confusion was the goal, and the more perplexing the present, the better the reaction. As markets buzzed with excitement, shoppers scoured for last-minute treasures. Stalls brimmed with captivating items, little sculptures, carved dice, jewelry, perfumes, and pastries, each small enough to carry, yet intriguing enough to elicit genuine appreciation, steering clear of the dreaded, "Oh, thank you." What kind of gift would you choose to bring joy to someone special? What is happening around you? The air is filled with the sounds of sellers calling out, their voices blending into a lively chorus. Children tug at their parents' tunics, eagerly asking for toys, while nimble pickpockets indulge in their own version of gift-giving. Yet, the true enchantment lies not in the items themselves, but in the atmosphere they create. During Saturnalia, the spirit of giving transcends obligation and display. It's about shared joy, a moment when Romans come together to celebrate each other. For 1 week, laughter fills the streets as people exchange tokens of affection and playful mischief, strengthening connections across all walks of life. In a society known for its serious demeanor, Saturnalia offers Rome a chance to embrace warmth, generosity, and a delightful sense of whimsy. If you wish to witness Rome at its most unrestrained and joyfully chaotic, look no further than the gaming tables. Saturnalia awakens a deep-seated instinct within the Roman spirit, a primal urge to gamble. Those same senators who strictly enforced laws against gambling throughout the year suddenly find themselves huddled over dice boards, their shouts echoing like spirited gladiators. During Saturnalia, all restrictions on gambling dissolve, and Rome collectively proclaims, "Fortune favors the foolish." The streets transform into vibrant casinos, with dice clattering on marble floors, wooden stalls, dusty doorsteps, tavern counters, and even the steps of temples. This carefree revelry unfolds, much to the chagrin of priests who choose to look the other way. As you immerse yourself in this lively scene, consider how moments of joy and connection can break down barriers and bring people together. Wouldn't you agree that there's something special about shared experiences that light up our lives? Picture a bustling scene where people gather around makeshift gaming mats, their cheers and jeers rising and falling as fortunes shift in mere moments. Children eagerly gamble with handfuls of nuts, while adults wager coins. Some daring individuals stake items they might regret losing by morning. Among the games, one stands out, a simple yet captivating dice game. Romans toss knucklebones or six-sided dice with the same fervor as today's poker champions. A perfect roll grants instant bragging rights, while a poor throw elicits groans, laughter, and exaggerated despair. You might notice that some players adopt personal rituals for luck. They kiss their dice, whisper sweet nothings to them, tap them against statues of Saturn, or blow on them while silently praying for divine favor. It seems even Saturn, the god of liberation, has his hands full. Yet the excitement doesn't stop at dice. Romans also engage in tabula, a precursor to modern board games, and partake in ludus duodecim scriptorum, card-like games featuring painted tiles. Competitive drinking games, with stakes that often involve personal dignity, also add to the thrill. During the festival of Saturnalia, even the most respectable matrons, typically paragons of restraint, join in the revelry. With playful mischief, they delight in besting their husbands at dice, all while their household slaves look on. Isn't it fascinating how games can bring out both competition and camaraderie? During Saturnalia, the enslaved find a rare opportunity to gamble openly, a moment of freedom carved out from the edges of their reality. Their masters even provide them with coins meant to be lost, yet they strive to hold on to their winnings. When an enslaved gambler triumphs over their master, the cheers echo through the halls, shaking the very walls. In these fleeting moments, luck disregards social status, leveling the playing field. However, amidst the excitement, there are always those who seek an advantage. Loaded dice surface, and pieces are switched when eyes are averted. Arguments ignite, but within this chaos lies a code unique to Satinia. Cheating is frowned upon, yet it's only a true cheat if you get caught. As one Roman puts it, the thrill of gambling during Satinia transcends mere entertainment. It becomes a cathartic release, a bold rebellion against the oppressive seriousness of Roman life. For one glorious week, from senators to slaves, everyone rolls the same dice. Fortune, for once, smiles upon all. While the feasts and games ignite excitement within Roman homes, the streets of Rome during Satinia morph into a vibrant carnival. The city pulses with life, loud, unpredictable, and brimming with energy. It's an experience that envelops you, an event that demands your presence, whether you welcome it or not. From dawn until the depths of night, every alley, forum, bathhouse, and courtyard comes alive with activity. Musicians roam the city, playing flutes, drums, lyres, and anything else that can create a joyful noise. Groups form spontaneous parades, while children dash about, clutching clay figurines. Revelers wave evergreen branches and shout Eo Saturnalia to strangers, reminiscent of how people today might wish each other a happy new year after a bit too much champagne. And then there are the costumes. Romans don't dress as animals or mythical creatures. This isn't a masquerade. However, their attire is certainly unconventional. They wear colorful garments, mismatched patterns, and sometimes sport exaggerated wigs or comical representations of stereotypes. Some adorn themselves with garlands or paint their faces. Saturnalia is no time for decorum. Even the typically strict Roman manners seem to dissolve. Strangers engage in friendly conversation Neighbors share laughter, and people greet one another as equals, regardless of whether one resides in a grand mansion or a humble tenement. During Saturnalia, the social hierarchy flattens, transforming the city into a bustling, joyous celebration. For a few days, Rome feels less like the heart of an empire and more like a village reveling in a bountiful harvest. Imagine a world where public drinking is a common sight, where taverns spill out into the streets and amphorae of wine flow like cherished treasures. People raise their glasses to Saturn, to one another, and to the very sky above them. They toast anything that doesn't dart away too quickly. And if someone does rush by, they are likely hurrying to the next round of dice games. During this vibrant week, street performers come alive. Jugglers, dancers, fire breathers, and comedians vie for attention, while some questionable acrobats attract curious crowds simply because they are so delightfully terrible. Yet, nobody seems to mind. In Saturnalia, the spirit of participation triumphs over perfection. If you bring enthusiasm, you find your place. As night falls, the chaos doesn't settle. Instead, torches light up the streets, casting a warm golden glow over festivities that stretch until either exhaustion or dawn arrives, whichever comes first. The air fills with the sounds of music and laughter, creating a city that pulses like a single liberated organism. This is Rome unbound, free from rules, free from stiffness, and free from hierarchy. For one glorious week, the empire feels deeply human, messy, noisy, warm, and vibrantly alive. If Saturnalia had a mascot, it would undoubtedly be the Satanicus princes, the embodiment of pure mischief, and the so-called Lord of Misrule. Wouldn't you want to join in this celebration of life? Imagine a time when the unexpected becomes the norm. In ancient Rome, a unique tradition unfolds during the festival, where the most unlikely individual is chosen as the temporary king. This could be a poor man, a household slave, a class clown, or even a shy bookkeeper who rarely speaks up. The essence of this role isn't about dignity or wisdom. In fact, those traits disqualify you. The purpose is to turn the social order upside down. The Lord of Misrule embodies chaos and humor, issuing commands that are delightfully absurd. Picture this: sing a song like a farm animal, or pour wine for that slave over there faster. The tasks are not just silly, they're designed to be ridiculous. Dance until you can't stand, or confess your irrational fear of geese. And astonishingly, the Romans comply. It's a matter of tradition. Even the sternest figures, like Petilius, the feared head of a household, must salute this whimsical king, following his nonsensical orders. Envision a respected senator hopping around the room like a tipsy grasshopper, while a slave lounges on a couch, indulging in honey cakes. This is the glorious chaos of Saturnalia, where laughter and absurdity reign supreme. Take a moment to reflect on the power of tradition and the joy that can emerge from the most unexpected places. Would you embrace such a playful role in your own life? Imagine a figure known as the Lord of Misrule, adorned in bright, flamboyant clothing and crowned with a wreath of greenery. This character embodies a playful confidence, a stark contrast to the seriousness that fills the rest of the year. For just a week, this figure steps into a role that defies authority, holding mock audiences and delivering absurd speeches. Punishments during this time are light-hearted, involving silly forfeits, embarrassing dances, and playful confessions. Some households take this spirit further, staging mock trials where the Lord of Misrule playfully prosecutes family members for trivial offenses, such as being overly serious or snoring too loudly. Everyone gathers to witness the hilarity, and the accused often find themselves performing amusing tasks to earn forgiveness. This tradition isn't merely about silliness, it serves a deeper purpose. For those in servitude, it offers a rare glimpse of power. For their masters, it becomes a gentle reminder to embrace humor in life. As laughter